A chilly spring morning in 2020, and I'm standing outside a Manhattan courtroom, my notepad ready. My name's Sarah Thompson, a journalist who's been chasing the wildest family feud in corporate America. I just got a leaked email from a Viacom insider. Sumner's trust meeting is today. Shari's out if we play this right. Sumner Redstone, the 97-year-old billionaire behind Viacom and CBS, is at the center of a $40 billion betrayal. His daughter, Shari, thought she was his heir, until her own allies tried to cut her out. What happened next? A revenge plot so brilliant, it flipped the script on everyone. If you've ever been double-crossed by family or fought for what's yours, drop a comment with where you're watching from. This is the true story of how Sumner Redstone used his media empire to outwit his daughter, her allies, and a pack of greedy executives in a battle that rocked Hollywood. Let's dive in. Sumner Redstone was a legend. Born in Boston in 1923, he turned his family's drive-in theater business into a media juggernaut, owning Viacom, CBS, Paramount Pictures, and MTV by the 2000s. His $40 billion empire shaped what you watched on TV, from SpongeBob to 60 Minutes. By 2014, Sumner was in his 90s, still calling shots, but his daughter, Shari Redstone, and a circle of executives were eyeing control. Sumner's National Amusements, a private company holding the family's voting shares in Viacom and CBS, was the key to the empire. Whoever controlled it held the crown. Shari, Sumner's only daughter, was a tough, savvy lawyer who'd worked her way up to vice chair of Viacom and CBS. She saw herself as Sumner's successor, managing National Amusements and expecting to inherit its voting power. But Sumner's inner circle, executives like Philippe Dauman, Viacom's CEO, and Thomas Dooley, Viacom's COO, plus his longtime companion Manuela Herzer, had other plans. They saw Shari as a threat to their influence and wanted her out of the picture. The betrayal started in 2014. Sumner, still sharp but slowing down, began revising his trust, which controlled National Amusements and, by extension, Viacom and CBS. Shari assumed she'd inherit the majority voting shares, keeping the Redstone legacy intact. But Dauman and Herzer, who had Sumner's ear, started whispering that Shari was too ambitious and disrespectful. They held secret meetings in Sumner's Beverly Hills mansion, plotting to amend the trust to give control to a 7-member board they could manipulate, sidelining Shari. Dooley even drafted a memo, later leaked, saying, "Shari's not fit to lead. We need stability." Stability, of course, meant their own power. By 2015, the plot thickened. Herzer, who'd been Sumner's live-in companion, convinced him to sign documents removing Shari from National Amusements leadership. Dauman pushed for a trust clause that would dilute Shari's shares if she challenged Sumner's decisions. By 2015, the plot thickened. Herzer, who'd been Sumner's live-in companion, convinced him to sign documents removing Shari from National Amusements leadership. Dauman pushed for a trust clause that would dilute Shari's shares if she challenged Sumner's decisions. They even tried to limit Shari's visits to her father, claiming she was stressing him out. It was like Amanda's family freezing her out, but with a media empire on the line. Shari got wind of this through a loyal National Amusements employee who overheard Dauman boasting at a New York gala, wedged, "Shari's finished unless we act fast." Furious but strategic, Shari didn't confront them directly. She knew her father's trust was the key, and Sumner, despite his age, was still mentally sharp, as confirmed by legal advisors in 2015. Shari quietly hired her own legal team, led by Robert Adler, and uncovered a paper trail, emails, memos, and trust drafts, showing Dauman and Herzer's scheme to marginalize her. Sumner, catching wind of the betrayal through Shari's private meetings with him, was livid. He'd built his empire from scratch and wasn't about to let executives and a companion steal it from his daughter. Here's where the revenge kicks in. In 2016, Sumner, still in control, launched a master plan. He amended his trust again, but this time, he ensured Shari's position as his successor was ironclad. He removed Herzer from the trust entirely, cutting her out of a $70 million bequest she'd expected. He also fired Dauman and Dooley from their Viacom roles, replacing them with Shari's allies. To seal the deal, Sumner recorded video statements with his lawyer, Erwin Schlossberg, declaring, "Shari is my heir. No one else runs this company." He added a no-contest clause to the trust. Anyone challenging it would lose their benefits. These videos, along with financial audits showing Dauman's inflated bonuses, $150 million over a decade, were Sumner's trump card. The showdown hit in 2020. Dauman and Herzer, backed by a few Viacom board members, filed lawsuits in Los Angeles Superior Court, claiming Sumner was coerced into changing the trust and that Shari had unduly influenced him. They thought their corporate clout and Sumner's age would sway the judge. But Shari's team was ready. In a dramatic 2020 hearing, covered by Variety and the Wall Street Journal, they played Sumner's videos, showing him clear-eyed and firm, "Shari's my choice. The others betrayed my trust." Auditors testified that Dauman had funneled company funds into personal accounts, and emails revealed Herzer's plot to isolate Shari. The judge, stunned, called the evidence overwhelming. The court ruled in Shari's favor in early 2021, upholding the trust and confirming her as National Amusement's future leader. Dauman's lawsuit collapsed, costing him $10 million in legal fees. Herzer was cut off, losing her $70 million. Claim and facing public backlash as a gold digger in tabloids like the New York Post. Viacom's board members who backed Dauman were ousted, their reputations trashed in headlines like Redstone's Revenge, Shari Wins Media War, Forbes, 2021. Shari took full control of National Amusements, steering Viacom CBS, now Paramount Global, to new heights, including a $15 billion merger in 2021. The fallout was brutal. Dauman faded from the industry, his once powerful network useless. Herzer, humiliated, settled out of court for a fraction of her claim, retreating to a quiet life. Shari, meanwhile, solidified her father's legacy, proving she was the rightful heir. Sumner's trust ensured his empire stayed in Redstone hands, a final middle finger to those who tried to steal it. Have you ever had to fight family or colleagues for what's yours? Share your story in the comments. If this billion-dollar betrayal blew your mind, subscribe for more real tales of greed and epic comebacks. Until next time, keep fighting for your legacy.